Hello, this is Alex Gollner, known as Alex4D on the internet, and here's a short presentation on FxFactory and a small introduction to Alex4D Animation Transitions, my pack of 120 plugins for Val Cut Pro. So, Val Cut Pro 10 effects. There's a huge selection built into Val Cut Pro, and but the good thing, there's a large ecosystem. There's lots of other plugins out there, lots of other tools to use. Some are free and some are paid, and I made lots of free ones, and I've just released my first paid one. Now, FxFactory, what it is a bit like the Apple Store, but it's for Val Cut Pro 10 plugins and also applications as well. So FxFactory is a way of browsing tools and applications for Val Cut Pro 10, just like the Apple's App Store. It does the same for stuff that goes on the Mac. So, like the App Store for the Mac, like Apple's App Store, you can just move from Mac to Mac and just sign in with your FxFactory ID and download all the plugins you've got access to, all the plugins you've paid for. And the good thing is that once you put in your credit card details, like you do on the App Store, you just click buy, and your credit card is automatically debited. But the extra thing you can do in FxFactory is that you get updates, a bit like Final Cut Pro, like the App Store. But the advantage is with version control, you get the extra added advantage that old timelines will be able to use the old plugin, and new timelines will be able to use the newer versions of plugins. So the difference is that unlike the App Store, you can actually try before you buy. You can have a fully working version of every product, which is watermarked, and then it's very simple to activate the plugin, and also to make it work on your system. And also, if you don't want to have too many plugins in your system, it's very easy to deactivate them all in FxFactory. So the good thing about FxFactory is that as well as you've got free plugins, you've got tools for new or busy file cut users, so the mid-range, and also you've got the very advanced post technology, such as doing stereoscopic 3D and VR and 360-degree video, and also lots of other advanced tools, all in the same post library or post tools for Val Cut Pro 10. Now, Alex4D Animation Transitions is my product, which I've made available through FxFactory. And the cool thing about it is you can drag and drop animation for graphic overlays and text. To give you some idea of how good these animations are, I've been using Val Cut Pro 10 to do this presentation. So to go back through what I showed you, you can see the normal building up graphics here on the side, in the timeline, and here you can see that I've applied some of the plugins. So you can see this moves on like this, and then you can see the logo. The text zooms in and comes up like that. So Alex4D Animation Transitions are a very quick way of dropping on a transition onto a clip, either text or logos, and then animating them. So here's an example of what you might do with it. I'm using footage from Editstock. Now what Editstock do is they provide footage for people who want to learn editing. Here's their logo, Editstock, and the idea is that they supply all the rushes and all the footage from different kinds of productions, which gives editors the opportunity to practice editing. So check out Editstock. And imagine you've got the situation, you've got this commercial in which somebody is being pulled away by a demonic clip, and his friend has a choice of either helping or trying out potato chips. Now imagine this is an editing competition. You've done your edit, but you need to do a bit of simple stuff, such for example as put the logo on the screen, and also say who you are, and also credit where you got the footage from, and then maybe put your website up. So what you can do with Alex4D Animation Transitions is use transitions to make these things animate in an interesting way. So what I'm going to do with this graphic overlay selected is I'm going to bring the transitions browser up. I'm going to wait for it to come up. I'm going to bring the transitions browser up, And here I've got 120 plugins. So what I can do if I skim along here, it gives you an idea of what this transition will do. It's going to make the incoming clip bounce into the screen. It will grow in. So what I can do is just drag it on here and see how it animates. And then the advantage of using plugins is that I can use the Val Cut Pro user interface in order to change the timing of the animation. Here it comes in quite quickly. If I want it to take longer, all I have to do is change the duration by dragging the duration part of the transition so it happens more slowly. And also, if I drag in the middle, I can make the transition happen earlier or later. So now it's happening earlier. That's cool. And also I can animate off the screen as well. So what I'm going to do is hold down the Option key and drag the transition to the end of the clip because I like its timing. And I'm going to also set this transition to animate off the screen. So I go to the inspector and say animate out. So when I can do this, so I've got that coming on. Now I want to also control how this type appears. So what I can do is say I've got some type selected. What I can do is I'm going to go down and choose move right divide landscape. So as you can see, what this does is the incoming clips divided into two parts, with the top part moving to the right and the bottom part moving to the left. So I'm scrubbing. So what I can do, if I double click this transition, it's applied to the beginning and end of this title. But notice that it only seems to move in one part. That's because these controls also allow you to choose where the clip is divided into two parts. At the moment it defaults dividing so the top part is up here and the bottom part is down here. If I move this on-screen control down and then choose play, also it's happening too quickly, so I'm going to slow it down so you can see it. Cool. Now what I can do, amongst lots of other controls, is I can choose to crop the animation, crop the transition. So what I can do is say, okay, I've got this tool here. I don't want to be able to see the text outside this area. In fact, maybe I don't even want to see it outside this area. So what I'm going to do is move this over here. So within this area is only where the animation will happen. And what I'm going to do in order to make it so that this is text is centered when it finishes, I'm going to double click the text, move it over to the middle here. What I might need to do is probably make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to go back to my transition. If I press Shift O, it moves to the last frame of the transition. And I want the animation to be happening here. And that's the center point of it. So now when I do play, happens in that area. So I like the way that's animated. I delete the outgoing clip that's automatically applied when I double clicked. Drag this transition over here. Change its duration to make it so it happens more quickly. And also I'll change it so it animates off the screen. So if I now do play, and now I've got this logo to animate. And I can do other kinds of ways of dividing things up. If I scroll down and choose one of these others, such as spin up divide landscape, it gives us some idea of what it will do. I'll drag that onto the beginning here, change its duration so it takes a little longer to actually happen. Again, what I need to do is choose the point in which it divides into two parts here. And now when I do play, it does this. Option drag to the end, change that to out, and now I've animated out. So I've got my timeline, I've animated some overlays, but as well as animating overlays using transitions, I can also animate other clips. So for example, say I want to have this clip here, the background clip, animate on an interesting way. Now, of course, you wouldn't normally do that in Edit, but this is just to show what you can do with this. Say, for example, I want to spin this up. So all I need to do is go to the edit point, double click, and now I've got a transition that does this. Again, I'll probably want to make that a little bit longer. Make this animation happen a little later. And again, I'm making it longer. And now when I do play, so that's Alex4D Animation Transitions, a simple way just to drag and drop clips, transitions onto clips and footage in order to do your animation. Thanks very much for watching.